Petra Fisher Movement. I'm here today to share a couple of different ways that you could think about sitting on the floor. So if you've been following me at all, you'll know I'm a huge fan of floor sitting because it gives you a lot of extra movement variety as opposed to always sitting in a chair. And it also gives you the strength of going down to the floor and getting up from the floor, which you don't actually think is very strength building until you do it 10 times in a row and then you're like, oh my goodness. So I love it. I recommend it for everybody. The downside of floor sitting is that, like anything else, we're creatures of habit and we always usually pick the positions that are most comfortable for us. So for example, this kneeling I'm doing, I'm pretty comfortable here, and that's always a sign that you should circle and be like, okay, it's time to move on to something that's a little harder. So to give you some inspiration and ideas, I wanted to share a couple of my favorite variations today. One of which is very similar to this kneeling position. I just want to show you something. So when I'm kneeling, I'm always thinking about the inside edges of my feet being fairly parallel to one another, as opposed to letting the toes come in towards one another like that. So that just gives you a little bit of a beneficial rotation in the lower leg. So in these exercises, I want you to think about lining up the inside edges of your feet parallel. This is a great way to work a little bit on your squatting and kneeling at the same time. So I've got one leg kneeling now, and I've taken my other leg around in front of me into this sort of semi-squatting position. This becomes a really nice way to position your body if you're doing a lot of gardening and you're doing a lot of kind of low down reaching. And as you reach forward like this, you kind of want to think about tipping the front of your pelvis forward. That's going to create a lot of the loads that squatting creates for your hip and the front leg without necessarily doing a whole lot of loading in that front leg. So it's a really nice way to prep your body for squatting. And of course, once you've done it on one leg, you're going to do it on your other leg. Now, one of the nice things about floor sitting is that it's kind of uncomfortable, and that means you're going to have to move around a lot. So it's a secret benefit. It sounds like a liability, but it's awesome. It makes you do a lot of changing. So you're here and you're like, you know what, this is really starting to not feel comfortable. You can change it up just by curling your toes under. Now, this isn't very comfortable for some people, so one way to make it more comfortable is to take your half dome or whatever you have around, stick it under your front knee. That usually makes it a little bit less loaded for the toes of the back foot. Still getting some squatting benefits here. It's pretty great. And then I'm going to switch to the other side again. So now my toes are tucked under in the back, and I'm going to put my knee up or not, depending on your own comfort level. And meanwhile, you're doing your gardening, maybe you're chopping your vegetables, whatever you're doing, it's a way to give yourself a whole bunch of movement variety. And say you want even more variety, what you're going to do is you're going to pop your knee up now, and now you're getting a lot of work through the back leg. So you might not want to spend very much time here, but you can spend some time. And again, it's just giving you more variety, more different ways to position your body while you're on the ground. So it's no longer just floor sitting one way, it becomes floor sitting 6 ways just from this little video. And of course, you're going to do that on your other side too, sitting back, popping that knee up. So those are some of my favorite floor sitting variations. Really great for practicing all of the skills that you're going to be taking into your squat. Really nice for gardening or other situations where you're kind of leaning forward and maybe kneeling is not working for you. So it just gives you some variety to add to that. You can of course play also with how far out your foot is from your leg. Be close in, far out, doesn't look very different to your eyes maybe, but it is very different to your body. So hopefully these tips will give you some good ideas. And if you would like more tips, ideas, and movement suggestions, definitely check out my website, which is www.petrafishermovement.com. Love to see you there and stay in touch. Take care.